Hello, welcome. I'm Pauline from PQW and delighted to join you in episode 3 of our exquisite quilt program. Hope you've all looked at lesson 1 and 2 and that you've got all of your fabric cut out. I know there's been a few challenges with how to fold your fabric, and I know it's different to the way a lot of you would have folded in the past, but it is an efficient way. So if you have questions, make sure you send them to us so we can help you out with whatever questions you have. But you've had your cutting chart, you had your little code pieces to put on each piece as you cut, so hopefully you've got them done, and you've got your backing and your batting and your top layer all ironed together. And now we're ready to start putting the quilting designs on. So this layout chart this is where it'll come in very handy for you, because you'll know where each of your numbers blocks are going to go by the little tags that you've put on them. So I have all mine tagged up. I'll just find one here for you. So this one here is A4, a 10 by 11. So I can look at this layout here and I can see exactly where that block's going. So you can decide what quilting design you would like to put on that. Remember, all of these blocks are quilted. Just plain quilting. The highlight will be the sashing when we build up those sashings. We will do a little bit of applique that weaves through it, but we'll get to that later in the program. But for today, we're going to introduce you to the dot-to-dot system, which is this pack here. Now, hopefully you've all got this pack ready, because this is going to give you a lot of your quilting designs. Now, just a little reminder of different things that we provide for you to go along with these dot-to-dots. Go to our website, look at the dot-to-dots and download yourself a free pattern book. Now, this is free for you to download. It'll give you all of the instructions of how to use the dot-to-dots and the designs that you can draw using these. It'll help you understand it a little bit more. So please go and download that. Keep it with all your other paperwork, because you'll use these over and over again. So now what we're going to do first up, I'm going to teach you how to draw up the 2-inch melons. So the 2 inches is from here to here. And I know it's in light coloured fabric, but hopefully you're going to see it quite nicely. So I've already got my preparation work done. I'm going to draw it up on my B1 piece of fabric. I've got the B1, it's 11 by 11 square. But I'm going to draw it on paper first, because I think if I could get you all to start drawing some of your designs on paper first till you get familiar with them, and then maybe cut yourself a random square of fabric and batting and backing, and try the quilting out first. So by the time we come back to the, not next lesson, but the lesson after, which will be lesson 5, we'll be actually at the machine quilting. So I'd like you to have some sample blocks layered together and a design on them, so that you can practice your quilting before we actually get onto the quilt. Now, I've got my piece of paper here. It's 11 by 11, so this is not being used, but from this line all the way around, it's 11 by 11. I've folded my paper in half, so I know where the centre point is. So we'll just draw that in. So this could be on the fabric. But if you think you understand it all okay, you can go straight to the fabric. But I do recommend doing a little trial first if you've never used the dot-to-dots. So we are going to use the 1.5-inch grid. That won't give us the 2 inches. So we put that one aside and we'll use the 1-inch grid, because we want a 2-inch melon. So you can see that this has the little holes in it. So what we're going to do is start in the centre, put it down on your fabric. This is my centre dot, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know I'm in the centre. Now I'm going to not mark the centre dot, I'm going to mark the one either side. Then I'm going to skip one, and that's giving us a 2-inch grid. Now we're going to come back this way, we'll skip one, draw the dot. So if this was your fabric, you'd be just putting your pencil down. Oops, that dot should not be there, I took my focus away. So this is the fabric marking pencil that I recommend you use, the Bohin Fabric Marking Pencil, because I want to know that you're going to get these marks out of your fabric, that they're not going to do any damage. So we're going to move this down. Now I've moved it down so these dots are still all lining up, and we'll now mark every second one. I'll come back and erase the ones that I've done wrong. Okay, that's as far as I need to go. Now I'll pull it back this way, lining up my dots, and we'll do every second one. So that's really easy, but what the dots are going to do is keep your melon shape consistently even. You won't have to guess anything. When we stitch it, it'll turn out perfect. Just a hole there. Okay, so now I need to come back and erase these mistakes that I've made here. Okay, so there's our grid. Now we're going to use, out of the pack, we're going to have these 3 templates. So we're going to use this 2-inch curve. Okay, we're not using these ones. Put those aside, we'll use those a bit later on. So now what we're going to do, this one here has got the dots. We're going to line the dots up on this template with the dots we've already drawn. So we'll just move it across. We'll get all those dots lined up, and we're simply going to draw around that top curve. We'll move it up, just need to pull it back a little bit. Line up everything. So we've got a double reference here. We've got our dots lined up back here, but we can see the dots are right on the edge of the curve. Move up again. Line those dots up. And around we go. And then we just keep working down till we get them all drawn. But you can see how easy it is. Now I've run out of dots here, but I can line it up simply by making sure my dots are right on the edge of that curve. Okay, now we're going to come back the other way. So once again, we're still lining up the dots here, back the previous row. You can see how my curve is going to intersect right on that dot. Pull it down, lining the dots up. I find it very therapeutical just to be running the pencil across all of these lines and knowing that everything's going to be even and give me a beautiful quilting pattern. Melons are so nice to fill in a whole heap of area. Dots lined up. And you'll get quite fast at this once you get an understanding of it. Now I could just quilt a design like that, but to make the melon, we're just simply going to come back and we're going to now line up our dots back here, previous row, line them all up and draw. Once again, I just love sitting down, putting some good music on when I'm drawing all of these things up. Takes you into another little world. Okay, so you can see the shape starting to form. And hopefully you're understanding how nice and consistent. But I think it'd be probably one of your favourite quilting designs once you get it stitched out, because it's going to be very easy to stitch. Line up here just so your dots are lining up at the same position on the curve. Now we'll flip it over and come back the other way. So remember, you've got two reference marks. You've got your dots down a previous row, plus you've got your dots up here. So if this was your fabric, you'd all but have your design completely done. But as I suggest, draw it on paper first till you get familiar with it, because if you've never used them before, you can get a little bit confused. There's nothing wrong with that, you just need to learn. It's a new thing to learn, so just take your time, and I think you'll be very chuffed with yourself, with what you achieve. The way we're drawing this is the way that we're going to quilt it. We're just going to sew on the curve. It's very, very easy. And remember, we're not going to be free motion quilting. I'm going to teach you my control quilting technique. So you need to get ready for that one, because it'll teach you how easy quilting can be, and you don't have to be frustrated or intimidated with quilting anymore. Okay, so there's our design. I just have this one up here to do. So I hope you get a good understanding of that from this little demonstration. So make sure you get your centre point first so that you know where that it's going to be positioned. All your melons will come out nice and perfect for you. So if we're on our fabric, what you'll need to do is get your ruler, and this is an 11-inch square. So you need to find your halfway, which is 5.5. And you need to find your halfway this way, and then draw your nice faint line through here. Don't go too dark. When you mark your dots, don't mark the dots too hard. You only want to be able to just see it, because remember, you want to get these dots out of your fabric. When you draw your lines on here, your curves, don't draw too hard. Just draw it light enough so you can see it under the light of your sewing machine. If you make a mistake as you're drawing one of your lines, use the eraser in the end and you can erase that line out. But the harder you press, the darker the line's going to be, and the harder it's going to be for you to wash it out. So please take care of not pressing too hard. So that is drawn up block 1. Remember, I've just done it on paper. Hopefully you'll do it on paper and then transfer it to your fabric. And you can see how beautiful it looks. It's a really lovely design stitched out. Now, something else a little bit more exciting and a little bit freer and easier for you. We're going to work with block A4, a 10 by 11 block. We're now going to work with this curve, this big curve, and we're going to do random shapes. Now this is where everybody will get something that's different, and there's no rules to this one. This design here that I've already stitched out on A4, see all the curves? That's all come from this template. So to do this, we're just going to put our template down however you want to put it. This is where I want to get you to become really creative with your design. Draw your line. Now I'm only drawing very faintly because I want to get this line out. Now just randomly draw lines. I might put one nice and close here now. One a bit further apart. One over this way. Oops, I've missed there. I want to come right back to that point. Now we might come off this way and change the shape of that curve. Where did I go? Oops. See how now it's all starting to come in and, oops, I ran off the side of the template. So there's one side done. Now we might follow this line down a bit further. Come around. So I'm not getting anything that looks like the previous one I've done, but that doesn't matter. This one you probably don't have to do on paper. You probably create a beautiful design without even knowing it. Just draw up those curves. Now I'm going to come back this way from a centre point. I like coming from that centre point all the time because it gives it a nice flow. So if you don't have the dot-to-dot templates, I recommend you get these because we're going to show you lots of other designs in the program that you can create using these templates. We're going to do clamshells and all sorts of things. And that's why there's so many different curve shapes. We're going to do circles using these templates. So there is that design drawn up. I don't like this channel down through the middle here, so I'm going to put another little curve in here to change the shape of that. Just to take that boring shape away. So now I can build on that. And there's a bit of stitching in it, but once it's stitched it'll look really nice. Now that's too square. That was silly. So now we've got a nice design. So on A4, that's what I've done. Just get out some of the others. And on B2, I've used the same template again and created shapes going in a different manner. So that's, if you could get a few of these blocks drawn up, draw as many as you like, but remember we're going to work with the feathers in the next lesson. Just show you those. I'm going to show you how to draw up all different feathers in the next lesson. So if you don't have the feather pack, hop online to our website, which is www.pqw.com.au, and get your set of templates. Then later on in the lesson, we're going to learn how to use these templates to create all different sorts of designs. We're going to use the tulip, we're going to use the leaves. So this is where we're going to advance you on. So I'd say do 3 or 4 blocks using the melons. Do a couple using the random curve. But the other one that I'd like to introduce you to now, just briefly, is this one here, which I've done on block C2, 9 by 11. So this one here is where I've used that random curve and I've used the 1-inch melon. I've got the random curve drawn from that template that we used. wherever it has gone. Oops. And then I'm going to come back with the 1-inch grid. I'll work out a distance. We need a distance from here to here. When I drew it up on paper, I do a lot of planning on paper, I've made a 3-inch gap here. So just measure down 3 inches. So I'll just come down that 3 inches. Then I'll find my curve wherever I've put it. We'll use this curve, as you can see, I've drawn that. I've now marked the 3 inches. I've put a dot for the 3 inches, and I just want to check that I've got 3 inches all the way through here, and move the template. Move the template. So then draw this area in. Now when we quilt these lines, I'll be teaching you how to move your needle position over to be able to, you won't have to draw these lines in. So now we'll use that inch grid, and we're going to fill in with these dots again. Just mark the dots. Push down hard so you get that dot marking onto your fabric. Oh, I broke my lead, I pushed too hard. You'll get quite fast at this. So you're not marking through those lines that we've drawn. You're not marking your dots internally here, they're just on the outside. Okay. Now we're going to use the 1-inch curve. We're going to line our dots up again. So I'm lining my dots up, the second line down this time. I'm drawing around the top edge. And we just keep moving down. So we want to make sure these dots are lining up here, but we want to make sure that we've got that dot appearing in the same position on each one of those curves. Down again. Just take your time, get them all lined up. But remember, if you make a mistake, erase it out and start again. So we'll flip it over, come back the other way. It's just like drawing up the big melons. But you might not want to do this design. You might want to get creative and send us a photo of what you've drawn up, because there is so many different shapes you can create with these dot-to-dots, as I've said before. I keep repeating that because every time I sit down with them, I find that I can draw a different shape. So we want you to have fun. We hope you're going to learn a lot. And I know we're taking it slow, but I've really designed this to help anybody that's never used this sort of technique. And I think there's a lot of people out there that haven't used our technique. And it's so nice that we're going to quilt beautiful blocks, but we're not going to have to worry about quilting a big quilt, because we're going to quilt these blocks individually, and then we're going to be able to join it all together, quilt as you go. So I'm lining up my dots this way now. So I would be doing the same down this bottom end. So that's about all we've got to show you in this lesson. Stay in touch if you've got any questions. Stay in touch, and we'd like to help you out with those questions, because there's no questions that's too silly. We'll hopefully have the answer for you if you're a little bit challenged with anything. So you can see how the pattern's now coming along. So we'll leave you with that now. Don't forget to get your collection of dot-to-dots if you don't already have them. Get your feathers ready for next lesson. Make sure you're using the Bohin Fabric Marking Pencil. Please make sure that you've marked all of your blocks, because it's important that you know where these blocks are going to sit when we come to join it together. That's why we have this pattern chart for you. If you have not got this, go to our website, to the QISS section, and download. This is a free layout sheet, and then there is the free cutting sheet. If you haven't already cut out your fabric, go to your local quilt store. Get your fabric, get your backing and your wadding and your top fabric, and get started, because we want to quiz you. We want to show you how simple it is to make a beautiful quilt, block by block, and be a really lovely quilter. So till we see you in the next episode, which will be episode 4, where we go on to the feathers. So happy drawing till we see you next time. Bye for now.